The UFC has had some crazy news going on this week, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a short video here, just trying to cover it, get some content out before the post fight night predictions for this weekend coming up. Maybe there'll be some more content next weekend with some media days following or preceding UFC 322. But I figured let's go ahead and jump in and talk about some of the things that have been going on here. The Isaac Dulgarian controversy. He was a big favorite. I even picked him to win against Yair Doval. And moments before the fight, I think only a few hours, $16 million was wagered on Yair Doval. So clearly something was going on. And I don't think I have a separate Twitter page pulled up. But Isaac Dulgarian used to train with James Krause, and I think Isaac Dulgarian's current coach was a former student of James Krause, so there could be something to look into there. I know Dana said he's had the FBI in this since it's been going on, and I think they said over 100 fights have been rigged, or at least attempted to be rigged, with a lot of fighters coming out saying that they've been approached, like Patchy Mix said he was approached to take an L in his last fight and said he lost for free, so that's totally a great look during the situation, but yeah, I mean, this is insane, but this isn't a surprise. I feel like we've seen some crazy fight endings that just seemed a bit too surreal. A lot of weird reffing moments. We saw one in Canada recently with Mallet versus Holland. We saw one on the same card with Kyle Nelson versus Matt Frivola where he literally got the KO but revived Matt Frivola and made him continue the fight, saying it wasn't a KO even though he stepped in before the bell. Dan Mergliata again. Yeah, but the ref to look at this in the most part is going to be Jason Herzog. I think the FBI even said that they were specializing in Jason Herzog fights because I don't think the audio is in this clip in any moment, but I think most of us know that in this moment, Jason Herzog said to Cejudo, I need this to go to the scorecards. Why do you need this to go to the scorecards? Because had it been declared a no contest or, yeah, I guess it would just be a no contest because it was pretty early in the fight. I guess Herzog, or whoever had money on it, wouldn't have gotten the loss for Henry Cejudo and the win for Song Yadong. But by him forcing Henry Cejudo to go into the other rounds, he got enough for the judges to consider it a draw. Not a draw, sorry, a loss for Henry Cejudo, so clearly there was some things going on there. Mergliata is getting looked into too. Jason Herzog has quite a few bad fights on here. This one too, Teixeira versus Lewis. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with that. I'm not gonna go too much about it. And then you got weird people on Twitter. There's just tons to look at. Like completely standing. Just it's interesting, and especially just what he said to Cejudo is like the number one reason why I have looked into him. But there's tons of other fights that he's had some really bad behavior in, and I feel like he definitely could be in on this as one of the more corrupt refs. I don't really know too much about him, and he seems to have a very weird online social media presence. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. UFC or just fight fixing has been around since human history. Where there's money to be made, there will be corruption and fixing. In the UFC, we've definitely seen some insane fight endings to where you go, this had to be rigged. I want Saul D'Amato looked at by the FBI because he has had, or Mike Bell. I feel like they've had some crazy scorecards before, especially Saul D'Amato. I think refs and judges need to be, looked into. Not just the refs or just the fighters per se. I definitely think these judges need to be looked into because sure they're under a different commission, but you never know where money's being swapped. Really crazy stuff, honestly. There's not too much going on here. there's some rage bait, but yeah, Herb Dean also admits to fighters have admitted to him that they used to foul on purpose. It's definitely just a weird time in MMA with this coming out and there being some strong evidence to support how many fights before have been rigged. I don't know what we do about this. I don't know if there's anything you can do about this. Clearly the FBI is looking into it, but they haven't done anything about the Epstein files, so who cares? Yeah, man. It's kind of a dark era right now in terms of the behind the curtain of the UFC, who's running it, what's going on and all that. And I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC definitely did a lot of of their own rigging to, keep a champ looking good. Personally, I thought Gane's loss against Jones looked quite crazy, just giving a guillotine that early on, and somehow 2 fights later he just can't be taken down. But I digress. We won't get into that. We'll go ahead and move on to the next topic here. Speaking of the guy, the card ruiner. Just the most abysmal excuse of a champ. left the sport because he was scared of Tom. Whatever you have to say about Tom, how he looks now after his performance against Gon. Before that, his aura was invincible, one could say. And Jones didn't want any part of it. In this, he says, we had a verbal agreement that didn't go over well, and nothing was finalized. And I just don't trust this because multiple trustful sources have come out. You know, Dana's alluded to it. Ariel straight up broke the news that Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall, and they matched it, and he still didn't do it. He stalled over a year of Tom's career, held up the heavyweight division. He's just a bad fighter, bad look for the sport all around, yet they want to keep him. But Dana said he was done with Jones and him not being reliable when Jones expressed wanting to be on the White House card. I don't agree with Pereira versus Jones. That's such a freak show matchup that just gives this guy who's done terrible things to the sport, to the fan base, to the company. He's had events moved because he was a steroid cheat, and they moved it to a lesser strict commission so he could fight against Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, it's really pathetic when you think about it. That shouldn't be what a GOAT needs to do. And he's begging Dana to let him back and let him fight, and we can just talk it out. You ruined the cadence of the heavyweight division. You made a fool out of Dana White. He went on a 4 or 5 month glaze train for you, spitting on it every time he got on a podcast, and this is how you repay him. You know what I mean? And it's not like you've been an angel before this. Your beef with DC, you took steroids, you're a bad person outside of the cage, you're not a good look for them, you refused to fight Chael Sonnen on like a day's notice, and look what you did to him. Like, clearly you could win. Why are you ruining events? That's the only canceled UFC main full card pay-per-view. Sorry, that's the only UFC canceled pay-per-view card in history, I think. And that's pathetic for this guy that we call a GOAT to go against the undisputed Chael Sonnen and not want to do it on a day's notice if you're so confident that you're that good. And we saw how it went with Chael. I doubt there was any hesitancy in John's mind that he couldn't beat Chael. But yeah, I mean, this guy's being a bit vulgar, but in the back of my mind, I kind of agree. I'm sick of this pathetic behavior because you're just being endearing to him. You're giving him what he wants if you let this happen. When he's continued to make a mockery of the sport, he isn't a good person, and he just hangs around with shady people, you know? I mean, rest in peace to his brother. I don't know too much about him, so I'm not going to harp on that. But, I mean, he's friends with Gordon Ryan, who's notoriously a hard guy to deal with in the sport. That's the thing, is these guys are very talented, but they do everything to counteract their personality in the sport. And this is just pathetic. How are you going to do all this, leave, claim you're the GOAT, and then beg your way back into a money fight? But you didn't want to take Tom, dude. Like, you talk so long at 205 about wanting to move up to heavyweight and taking care of my body. And then you move up, you fight Cyril Gane, who's a layup title shot, and it just looks suspiciously easy how you got that submission, but he wasn't able to get submitted by Francis Ngannou, who wrestle fucked in the entire fight. I understand Jones is good, but how could Gane improve in so little time, in such a large aspect that takes a lot of time? Wrestling or grappling are not something you pick up as easily as striking, I really think. And then he fought a 4-year layoff Stipe Miocic, coming off of a vicious KO loss to Francis Ngannou. Looked slow, had it like a close fight with him, went to the 4th round. Granted, it was a cool spinning back kick, but he gutted an old man. And they act like that's GOAT shit. It's not. It's pathetic. It's crazy that we'd wait this long and stall these divisions for that to happen. And now he wants to come back. What does he do if, heaven forbid, he wins? Leaves again? Goes on another hype train of a year and a half of just talking and doing nothing? I don't want this for the sport. I don't think anybody really would enjoy this. Even his delusional fans that say he's the GOAT and that everything he says is right. You know deep down that he's doing bad things. I don't know why you're defending him, but you are. Regardless, I don't want Jones at the White House. I don't want him in the UFC. He's such a stain on the sport. His legacy's cool. I see asterisks in it. He's done great things, though. I have to admit that as a fan. He has done great things. He's inspired people. He is a go to the sport if you include steroid cheats. But outside of that, steroids, bad person, bad for the divisions, bad for the company. I don't know how anybody can be like, Jones deserves this fight. Tom didn't deserve the fight. Jones can get what he wants for what he's done. What has he done? A decision with Anthony Smith? So Tom is being compared to Gane for he said Tom's a one-trick pony. He has a 1-2, but he couldn't get his grappling off. But you took Anthony Smith to a 5-round decision after you illegally kneed him in the head where he could have taken the belt off of you. This would have been your second disqualification, showing how bad of a champion you are. You took Thiago Santos to a 5-round decision. Dominic Reyes arguably beat you. Gustafsson was a really close fight that didn't look great. Like, it just, his personality's too big for his britches, but the hype that the UFC put around him back when they actually used to do promo built this casual thought of just he's undefeated. He's like shining in all his glory, takes no damage, just dominates every fight. Because they're 2020 and onward fans, where they've seen 2 fights of his where he looked good against mildly decent opponents at the time that he fought him. It's just pathetic, and I don't want him back. I'll shut up there. We're already past 10 minutes, so let's get on to the last topic. This wasn't anything crazy. This was just a little sidebar that I had opened up. I didn't really know if I wanted to talk about it, but a big weight miss for Ismail Bonfim. If I'm not mistaken, his brother Gabriel's the main event, but this isn't a good look for him. You know, if he was the main event, if he was his brother missing weight, that'd be a lot worse. But a 6-pound weight miss is not a good look, especially at lightweight. Like, you're not cutting that much off, I imagine. He's a pretty small guy. And he's had time for this. So that's a really big weight miss. I really don't know what they're going to do. I haven't looked into anything about this. 6 pounds gives you a huge advantage over your opponent. Regardless of how drained he looked on the scale, I'm sure he'll feel a lot better fight night than his opponent does, who actually made 155. Not only that, is if they let him fight him and he still wins, he's going to get the credit and the hype for the win. But the asterisk kind of fades away or hides in the background. And the opponent, what does he get? Maybe a cut of the purse, but his career's messed up. This is a pretty low-level fight for what it is. So I imagine there's a lot of every fight matters at this low level of a contract. Like, if he gets this win, maybe he can renegotiate his next contract for a lot more. But if he loses to this guy because he had a 6-pound weight disadvantage because his opponent didn't make weight, then that just damages his career. And I feel like weight missing goes a little bit underpunished. There was that debut guy who missed weight and then asked Patricio Pitbull to fight him. He came from another organization as like a double champ. Asked Pitbull to fight him and then like whined about him not wanting to fight him. You missed weight. There's a contractual agreement to make weight because you guys both want to fight at that weight class. You want to make that weight cut. You want to feel that weight when you go into the cage after you bulk back up. But like you have to honor that. You can't just pretend that it doesn't matter. Like, if weight classes didn't matter, then go fight in heavyweight. Do an extreme or something, like in a foreign company where I think some other places still do like freak show fights, like Pride in Japan. I don't think they're around anymore, but like companies like those that are willing to do those freak show fights. Because if it doesn't matter, you go do it. Don't come to a promotion that not even argues. The rule is you must make weight. And then miss weight like this. Now, I don't know what Ismail Bonfim's reaction to this have been, if he's been quiet, apologetic, or if he's been boisterous and not really caring. But either way, this is just a really bad look on such a low-level card. I mean, maybe something was going on. Maybe he was sick, wasn't able to cut weight. Maybe a doctor stopped him. There's not a lot of feedback in these comments, just a headline and a couple weird comments. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research into this, but just it's not a good look on the surface, and most people are only going to look at surface level with things like this. We need to do things about weight misses in terms of bigger punishments. I think careers should be on the line, so you know what you have to do. There's a legitimate reason for his weight cut not going well. I digress. I'll shut up. But a lot of guys just do it because they deem the advantage in the fight and the hype they'll gain from it more worthy than a chunk of their paycheck that they might lose, because maybe they're pretty set. Clearly these fighters are doing well off of the money that they make, because this whole fighter pay argument just kind of fell through the floor when these fighters started fighting once a year, twice a year. That's it. If you can fight twice a year and you're not posting about how your bank account is $13 in the negative, then I think you're getting paid enough. You don't deserve NFL level pay. You don't bring in NFL level numbers. You don't bring in main card level numbers. You don't deliver main level fights. You know what I mean? And this just doesn't look good, man. 161, 6 pounds. I understand 2. I understand 3, but 6 pounds is like you didn't even try. There better be a good explanation for this. His kidney better have been failing for this. But if he just didn't make it, and then he still gets the fight and he wins, I'm not impressed by this at all. And I'll do my research. We'll see how the fight goes, and we'll talk about this in the recap. But I want to go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, crazy betting things, crazy fixing fights. We'll see what happens with that. Jones begging for another shot when I don't think you should. He's like an abusive ex that you've tried to make it work with like 5 different times, and he's asking for that one last shot, and it's like you're still recovering from the black eye he gave you from y'all's last breakup. Like, just use your brain. Let's put an end to these shenanigans, this ludicrous tomfoolery. It's just it's pathetic. And then just more punishment for unprofessionalism, especially with fouls, weight cuts. Those are some of the bigger ones. I'm sure there's more that I'm not remembering, but I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. I wanted to get a short video out. We'll see what happens tomorrow night with the fights. I'll probably have the postcard reactions out after that night, after the fight night concludes, or maybe the Sunday after. We'll see how the night goes for me. But again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah. See ya.